Hello, Mordimers here, and welcome to TCEC Season 19 Super Final. This time breaking news, because last time I told you that after 50 games we had a draw, so both of the engines got 25 points, but 10 games later Stockfish is on the lead. 2 extra points, 2 extra wins, so that's gonna be extremely difficult to Leela Chess 0 to catch up, and I would like to show you one of the decisive games. So as always, we have pre-arranged moves. 7 first move are pre-arranged. We have e4, Stockfish gonna play as white, and Leela Chess 0 as black with the Sicilian defense. Knight f3, e6, d4, c takes on d4, pretty standard stuff. Knight f6, knight c3, and now d6, Scheveningen variation, and now g4, the most popular Keres attack, and it's a pretty much attractive line for white, actually, very attractive. But we have one move which is not the main move. The main move actually in Keres variation is h6, just to play against g5, and after, let's say, h4, knight c6, then rook g1, just to, you know, push this this pawn, and then h5, g takes on h5, knight h5. So that would be the main idea. Then the bishop can come to g5 and so on. However, we have knight c6, so actually black allow this g5 move, and now from move 7 actually Stockfish is on its own, and Leela Chess 0 as well. We have g5, knight d7, and now bishop e3. We have bishop e7, rook g1 now, because the pawn is attacked twice. Actually, h4 is the main idea by human, but Stockfish choose to play g1. And now we have the castle. And now interesting thing that this position was reached by some of the top players, world format players. So, and black actually won that. So Garry Kasparov, Vasily Ivanchuk, Boris Spassky won this position from the black's perspective. So definitely something should be okay with the position. So let's see how the engines plays that. First, rook g3 with the very simple idea: in the right moment the rook can come to h3 together with the queen. This is very serious threat, especially this pawn actually controls h6, so definitely good idea. We have d5 by Leela Chess 0, and this position was reached actually by 2 top players, 2 grandmasters, in 2 games actually, so 4 grandmasters of course. And the main idea played by human is e takes on d5, e takes on d5, and we have one game where queen h5 was played by less known grandmasters, and white actually won. But Vasily Ivanchuk played something else. I mean, first Jonathan Spielman played queen d2, and Vasily Ivanchuk went for knight b6 with the idea of jumping with the knight to c4. Very nice outpost. So f4 was played in that game, and after knight a5. I'm showing you that idea because we're gonna see something similar, but not exactly played by the engines. And Jonathan Spielman played b3. So that was not possible anymore. And after rook e8, bishop d3, we had knight c6 retreat, and Vasily Ivanchuk managed to win that as black. But definitely white stands slightly better here. So this is, you know, he won because he's just, you know, better chess player, you know, world-class player. Here actually Stockfish went for queen d2 immediately, and now instead of playing knight b6, Leela Chess 0 centralized this knight. So knight e5. We have e takes on d5, e takes on d5, and now what is the difference? It looks like there is no difference, because this knight also, this knight also could come, for example, to c4, so black could play that, but as you already see, if b3 is played, this knight have to, you know, retreat. Yes, white has, you know, not really perfect the pawn structure, so black could probably attack the white's position. However, also, you know, f4 is possible, kicking this knight. So this knight wouldn't have a time actually to jump to the c4. So probably something like knight g6. But white didn't even bother that and play the castle on the queen side. And here, instead, you know, of playing that, which still could be the idea, we have bishop g4 attacking the rook, and here is, you know, a lot of decisions to make. For example, what to do now. We have bishop e2, and actually Leela chess 0 have a chance to win the exchange, but I'm not sure about it's really great for Leela, because after knight c4, which wasn't played in the game, this knight can be exchanged for the bishop. Now the idea is that this bishop is actually pinned, okay? So here is the problem. However, bishop c4 is the strongest move in the position. Why? Because after bishop d1, knight d5, so this central pawn gonna be lost. And white gonna have really superior center with the minor pieces, so very complicated and a very active game. But didn't happen, of course. Bishop h5 could be played, and let's say knight f5 would be the most active, and then let's say bishop b4, c3, and bishop g6 attacking this knight. And here the Stockfish actually recommends knight h6 first, before even taking this bishop. So after g takes on h6, c takes on b4, the game can continue. However, as you see, there are no pawns in the center. Of course, f4 is coming, and this position of the king is really shaky. It's really shaky, and these centralized pieces are really active. So black have extra exchange, but probably would have you know, problems to survive the attack. But actually, Leela chess 0 didn't go for knight c4, but rather bishop e6. It looks like a, you know, more solid move. However, after knight e6, f takes on e6, we have this weakness on e6, and it's a very serious weakness. You even cannot easily defend that. For example, this pawn controls f6. So that is the first problem. First, of course, we have f4 kicking the knight, so knight g6, and now bishop g4 already threatening to take on e6. And the point is, you even cannot defend that. If you move the queen, for example, to c8, the first thing, the knight can take on d5. So this is the first thing. So that's not even an option. Queen d6 isn't also that great, because knight e4 and the queen have to retreat, so queen d7, let's say, but then h4, h5, and white gonna have decisive attack. Very active and strong position of white. So this is why Leela chess 0 played d4, countering in the center, but it's not that dangerous. Actually, okay, both of the pieces are under attack. However, queen can simply go to e2, and there is another pin, okay? So it's not even possible to take the pieces. For now, we have bishop e6 taking advantage that the pawn is not protected, and now king h8. We have f5 now kicking the knight. If d takes on e3 is played, then actually queen e3, the queen is under attack, so that's the problem. Queen a5, f takes on g6, and again, white has two extra pawns, and position of this king is just terrible. And black even cannot, you know, move, because this pawn gonna be taken, and yeah, this shelter, this pawn is gonna collapse, and the position gonna collapse. Very difficult to play by black. So this is why we have knight h4, and now f6. Continuing to destroy the pawn structure, we have g takes on f6, and now instead of g takes on f6, which would be a pretty bad move, because after g takes on f6, this bishop got you know, very nice position on this diagonal, also controlling g7, and white would have the problem actually to get any advantage. So for example, queen e2, and now after queen a5, one of these pieces gonna be lost. So let's say bishop h6, h6, 2 pieces for the rook. That's of course better for black. So bishop f8, rook takes on f8, and black stands better with 2 pieces for the rook, and also the bishop stays on this diagonal. It's pretty good position. The queen already attack a5, the knight gonna join the attack also, so white has a lot of things to worry about. So g takes on f6 is really bad decision. This is why we have queen e2 by Stockfish, and now f takes on g5 by Leela chess 0. Knight e4 now avoiding taken by the pawn. For now, of course, is not possible, but if the queen moves, then of course that would be a very serious threat. We have knight f5 now. So the position, look at these pieces, all of these pieces in the center, it's pretty much very complicated position. We have rook h3 because rook is under attack, and that was the plan. First plan, of course, was the bring to rook to h3, and now together with the queen on h3, that's of course the serious stuff. Now you would ask, okay, the knight actually can pick up this bishop, because this knight, that was pretty good move to bring the knight to f5, to attack the rook, to attack the bishop, but it's not possible, because it's not possible now to actually defend h7. Actually, it's not possible. It's checkmate in 8 moves, and the best move in the position would be rook f7, sacrifice the rook, then sacrifice the queen, and then of course we're gonna have a checkmate soon after. So that would not be possible. Queen e8 would be much better. However, still the position of black is very difficult. For example, a knight g5, and this is a checkmate threat. So bishop g5 would be actually forced. Bishop g5, queen g6 just to get to the defensive position. However, rook g1 and all the pieces, you know, participate in the attack of the position of the king, and black have a really difficult time. d3 is the best what they can do. Just make some space for this knight and try to counter attack, but still it's very difficult position to play as black. An interesting thing, but Stockfish actually refused to show the best continuation for white. But if we play something like queen d3, the problem is, yes, this bishop, annoying bishop which controls actually g8, can be eliminated, but then bishop d2, the bishop can come also to this diagonal. The rook is already controlling g1, so this is just, you know, impossible to defend. That position would be, you know, extremely difficult to defend. So this is why we have knight g7 now attacking this annoying bishop, also defending h5. So of course the queen cannot come to h5. So we have queen d3. Stockfish tries to find another way to actually checkmate his opponent. We have h5 defending that, and now knight g3 going after the pawn on h5. So we have h4, and now queen g6, another checkmate threat. So this would be the checkmate, as this bishop still controlling g8. So this is why we have knight e6 finally, and now before taking the knight, of course we have first the check. So queen e6, and only now pick up the knight with check. And now how to continue? If you, for example, move the king to h7, it's pretty much logical. However, knight f5, and there is already, you know, another checkmate threat, so rook f6 would be necessary. But after queen e4, we're gonna have some nasty discoveries here, okay? So rook g6 first, and then rook g1. And the position of black is just bad. For example, you cannot take this bishop, because if you take the bishop, the problem is this knight gonna jump to h4, and the rook is under attack twice. Black can actually play something like queen d2, king b1, and if the queen goes back to defend the rook, the problem is that this knight can actually jump to f5, deliver a check and attack on the queen and win the queen. So that would not be possible, but rook g8 is even worse, okay? Defending this rook this way is even worse, because after knight f5, controlling also g7, that would be just a checkmate. So it's not even possible. Queen e8 again would be slightly better defending that, but it's still losing, this time miserable, because after knight e7, bishop g5 and rook takes on h4 is coming. Of course, this rook is pinned, so cannot be moved. So maybe knight f5, trying to exchange the queens, but then queen f5, and the material already is, you know, white are better in the material, gonna pick up this pawn and win the game. So king h7 cannot be played. This is why we have rook f7, and now knight f5, another threat. Pick up the rook for free. So we have queen f5 defending, and now rook sacrifice. Boom, rook h4. And of course there is not much choice, so we have g takes on h4, and now knight h6 with check, king h7, and only now knight f7. D takes on e3, so black actually managed to win the piece, one extra piece, so white have to be very precise in continuing the attack. So we have queen e4 with check, king g8, now threatening to take the knight, and now actually this is good exercise. It's very relaxing, it's not difficult, but find the only winning move for white, while I enjoy my cup of tea. Okay, ready? As I said, it's not very difficult, so congratulations to everybody. I hope you didn't play queen g6, because this actually would be a draw, because after queen g7, white doesn't have any continuation, knight h6, and that's all, king h8, and that would be threefold repetition, so white would have to, you know, fight for a draw. The winning move is rook g1, so congratulations. Of course, there are no moves to h8. Is of course controlled by the knight. Also h7 is controlled by the queen, and finally the knight cannot be taken, because that would be the checkmate in one. Very nice pattern. You should always remember that the queen actually controls all these squares, and if you know your opponent has two pieces located this way around the king, they gonna block his you know, run. So that would be very, very beautiful. So this is why we have queen g7. Leela Chess 0 want to exchange the queen for the rook and one piece. One piece is already won, so now time for the rook. We have knight h6 first. The reason is that Stockfish want to also exchange the bishop. So we have king h8, rook g7, king h7, and now knight f5. We have king f7, exchanging this bishop for the knight, and now queen b7, winning yet another pawn. Rook g8, another sneaky move, of course, threatening the checkmate in one. Maybe human, you know, in the bullet game could miss that. However, as you see, this is also another pattern where sometimes in the end game, where you are low on time and your opponent is low on time, you can deliver this kind of checkmate. But of course, Stockfish not gonna fall to that. We have queen f3 with check, king e8, and now just eliminate that pawn, and there are no more hope for black. We have a5, a4, rook g2, and after queen b6, Leela Chess 0 resigned. There is no way to actually, you know, continue the game. Of course, white gonna easily win. This is why Leela Chess 0 resigned. And as I said, two more games were won by Stockfish. Leela Chess 0 won one of the games. Actually, this one with the perspective of white, so Keresh attack is a very strong, especially with this continuation knight c6. Both of the engines actually won. So, you know, in the past, Garry Kasparov, Vasily Ivanchuk, and Boris Gelfand could win, but nowadays even the super engines cannot deliver even a draw. Okay, so that's all for today. And if you like this video, press like, and if you don't like it, press unlike. And if you have some favorite games, drop me the comment. I would like to follow some interesting games. And if you don't want to miss any other quality games on my channel, press subscribe, smash the bell button. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.